All systems go. Cleared for takeoff.
What is going on, YouTube? We're back. SHIPIT Nation, witching our MLB show on a Thursday here. We got the true grinders, obviously, with the NFL game tonight. Our guys Hoop, Tambo, and Title just broke that showdown on the Mayo Media Network. I'll post a link in the chat here once Gyiraszin, I kick it over to him to chime in. So you guys can check that out. Gives you all the winners there needed for tonight's single game showdown content. But we're here for MLB. It's September 21st. We're in here. We're grinding baseball. It's almost October baseball, which is a great time of the year. Gyiraszin, playoff baseball. You love that as a baseball fan here. A little bit, probably just a little less casuals in the lobbies tonight here, Gyiraszin, with NFL going on. Going to be the true baseball folks in the streets tonight, but we're still going to break it down. We're going to give you the winners on the 7-game slate here. Talk pitching, talk game by game like we always do. Gyiraszin, I'll bring you in. Happy Thursday, man. How's your week been? Excited for the football game tonight. That seems like everyone wants to talk about 49ers are going to smash these Giants, yada, yada, yada. Should still be a good football game. Obviously, when you got football and baseball going on at the same time, throw them on the TVs, drink a couple Modelo's, have a couple safety meetings, enjoy your evening. How we doing, man?
Can't complain. I'm feeling my age, though, man. I went golfing all last weekend up north in Michigan, and it was nice up there, nice time. But, man, playing 36 holes a couple days in a row, you're walking up hills and side of mountains, I kick my ass a little bit. So I've been, feeling like I got beat with a broomstick all week. But either way, man, hey, it's been a great week. We had, on Sunday we had, 100K winner. I mean, we've been winners all over the dang place, having a lot of fun. But, yeah, we got some football. At least it's a decent Thursday night game. I mean, it isn't the, Browns against the, stinking – some shitty else teams, but yeah, I mean, good times tonight. Definitely got to get over there, check out that showdown show with the boys here today. Haven't got a chance to check that out, but I'll be watching that before I decide which way I'm going to go with my showdowns. Now, I don't know about you, Nades. I tend to like DK better for showdown. Now, everybody knows I love me some FanDuel, but I play all my showdown action over there on DK. I just like the way it's set up a little bit better. You don't have as many ties, all that crap as FanDuel has. But, yeah, excited to get in. So I'm going to be on 2 apps tonight, baseball on FanDuel. I might have me some football open up on DK, and then I got a bowl tonight. So I don't know how the hell that's going to feel, Nades, bowling after all that golf. That's probably going to hurt, but whatever. I'll just puff one down before I go in, grab me a high noon or a Modelo, and we'll get to work. But, yeah, good time. Excited to break down this baseball. At least we got 7 games. Usually there's 4 or 5 games on Thursday, so at least we don't have any really rain to worry about. Last week we lost the game, I think the Colorado game when you and I were on. So at least we have somewhat of a baseball slate. Now I got to say, anybody in FanDuel, get your shit together. What kind of damn tournaments you got rolling over here? $100, 34 people in there. Come on, wake up. We got baseball to play. We ain't give a shit about football. I mean, we do, but we still like us some baseball.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, for sure. We like some baseball. We like some football. We like it all here on Thursday. If you guys are new, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. We appreciate y'all joining. See, I got Jake in the chat, Bill B, Paraby, Brian Englund, all the real ones in the chat. We appreciate y'all tuning in. Let's do it. Let's break it down. 7 games on tap here. Going to start with pitching. Let's go 8K and above for DraftKings pricing. That gives you Jose Barrios, Grayson Rodriguez, Harrison, Scooball, Max Fried, Garrett Cole. Want to throw out Mr. Scooball himself for sure. Clear-cut chalk on the slate, but, man, it's hard to ignore that matchup there in Oakland, Pitchers Ballpark. Scooball has been solid there for your Tigers. Gets one of the best strikeout matchups in the league. So I love Scooball here tonight. I don't see a reason to fade him. I'm playing 2 to 3 teams. I would have him on every one of my teams. Obviously, once you talk MME, I'm at 20 max, 150 max. You can start branching out a little bit, but any single entry, things like that, I'm just clicking the lock button on Scooball personally. But you got Garrett Cole in a pretty solid matchup there against Toronto. Max Fried, I like a little bit up at the top. against Washington there. Should have some run support behind him. Jose Barrios is picking up a little bit of ownership there with that New York Yankees matchup. And then Grayson Rodriguez is going to be a little underowned here. Has a very big arm, obviously. Gets these Guardians that just don't strike out a lot. Any interest up at this top range? Where are you going? Who are you looking at?
Yeah, I mean, you look at the top range, you got Cole, Skubal, Fried, all those guys, top-end arms. Can't complain. I'd argue with you if you wanted to play either one of them. But, I mean, you look on FanDuel where obviously one-pitcher site. Skubal's 10-3. He's the fourth highest priced pitcher. Cole's at 11-5. I mean, Skubal's has got better numbers than Cole recently. I mean, six games in a row, Skubal's had 7 Ks or more. You look at his game log, he's been in the 40s. 55, 48, 46, 43. We had a 27 against the Cubs where he gave up 4 earned runs. But, I mean, he's also got 5 out of 6 quality starts. I mean, the dude's just pitching really well. As you mentioned, Oakland's a team we like to attack, pitcher's ballpark. So, yeah, I mean, Skubal for me is definitely my play over on FanDuel. I probably wouldn't go really anywhere else. But, Max Fried's interesting. He gets Washington. You're not going to really get too many runs put up, but they're just not really that big of a strikeout team. So that's just somebody that, generally I stay away from. Barrios been pitching better here recently too, but you look on FanDuel, I'm not paying $500 more for Barrios when I can go get Skubal, who's been much better recently. So, yeah, Skubal's definitely my guy. I mean, you talk about Grayson Rodriguez. I don't mind him at all. He's been pitching pretty well. He's also had 3 out of his last 4 have been quality starts. He's been 6 Ks pretty much every time, getting over that sixth inning mark that we like for that quality start over there on FanDuel. So can't argue Grayson Rodriguez. He's only 9K. I guess if I was going to pay down, that's the guy I would look at. 10-3 over on FanDuel. You can figure it out with some bats here tonight. So I definitely would just lock in Skubal over on FanDuel. I'll get different somewhere else. But, yeah, I'm not paying up for Cole. No way. I mean, I can't fault you if you wanted to. I think he'll be definitely lower owned today. I think you'll probably see half the ownership on Cole that you would Skubal. So if you wanted to pivot off Skubal and go to Cole, don't mind that at all, but I probably prefer Fried over Cole if you wanted to stay away from Skubal. He's only, Fried's 10-6 on FanDuel. You get a $900 savings, so I think I would just go there. You get better win equity than with Cole. So, yeah, I think for me it's Skubal, lock him in, and then after that I probably say Fried and then maybe Cole. But I just keep Cole in my MME pool just because I think he's going to get lower ownership and does have the upside.
Yeah, no, excellent breakdown. We're pretty aligned here. Skubal's a lock for me in 1 to 5 teams, something like that. Would be very heavily involved in my MME set if I was MME in the slate. Max Fried's going to be number 2. I like Max Fried. I like that matchup. Obviously, Washington, not a great strikeout matchup overall, but Fried been pretty good. 6th best strikeout matchup on the slate here. I think he can do enough, right? 10K. He's $2,200 cheaper than Garrett Cole. I think he could match Garrett Cole here. Garrett Cole, I think he's fine if you can get to him, but I like expensive offenses on this slate. I like the Braves. I like the Dodgers. I like the Orioles bats. Those guys are expensive. I can't spend 12-2 on Garrett Cole here. I'm going to hope he goes out there and gets maybe right around what his projection is, 20 to 22, and I just hope these other guys in the bats kind of just match the upside there. That you're missing out on with Garrett Cole. So for me, Skubal number 1, Max Fried number 2, and then my third would be Grayson Rodriguez, coming in about 10 to 15% ownership here. He's got a big arm, pretty healthy projection overall. Ranks pretty good in our metrics over here, even against Cleveland. I'm not really afraid of that Cleveland offense too much. I like the Baltimore bats on the other side of that game as well. So I think Grayson should be able to pitch with a little bit of a leash there and some run support behind him. So those 3 guys are for me in this range. Jose Barrios, I don't think is the craziest play, but I would rather just save $500 and go down to Grayson Rodriguez at much lower ownership. Is kind of the reason there. I'm out on Barrios. Jumping in the lower tier here, I want to throw out 2 guys for sure. David Peterson, going to be the chalk SP2 on the slate, second highest owned pitcher projected right now on the slate. He's just 5,500 against those Philadelphia Phillies here. And then the other guy that's going to get a lot of ownership is in that same game, Ranger Suarez up at the top at 7,900. I think both of them are in play. I prefer Ranger Suarez personally, but David Peterson makes a lot work with your lineup construction, especially on DraftKings at just 5,500. Has some strikeout upside. Oviedo, Kyle Hendricks, 2 other guys I'll throw in. Wind blown in about 10 miles an hour from right field in that Wrigley game. Temperatures in Wrigley, not the warmest overall in the 70s, I think, low 70s. So not the greatest there, but that game, Wrigley has been producing tons of runs. That series has been popping off there. So hit on either of those guys, anyone else down here in this lower tier that you have interest in.
Yeah, Peterson's interesting. He's really the only guy I think that I'm even considering down here in this range. He's 7,900 on FanDuel, which is a great price if you want the Braves. I think every Brave stack's going to have Peterson pretty much as the pitcher. But, I mean, you look at him. I mean, you look at the Phillies against lefties. They have the most strikeouts in the MLB, in all of MLB against left-handed pitching at 443 strikeouts against lefties, top in MLB. I mean, the matchups there, Peterson's been throwing well, 10 Ks versus Cincinnati, 8 versus Minnesota. He had a blip there, Seattle 4. He had 8 against the Angels. I mean, he's 41, 37, 12, 46 points. I mean, if he can get me 40 points at 7,900, I'm locking that shit in. I'm thinking twice about it and loading up on some bats. So, definitely Peterson's interesting. I like Skubal a little bit better. If I'm going to, I think Skubal's safer. I think he's got a better, higher upside, better matchup, everything else. I think you can figure it out and work it out to where you get Skubal. If you can't, either go down to Peterson or, as I mentioned earlier, you can go to Grayson Rodriguez. But, for me, Peterson's definitely in play tonight. I'm just going to fool around. I haven't really locked in my lineups yet. I just want to see exactly what I get with Skubal. If not, I don't have a problem going down to Peterson, loading up on some bats, but especially with that matchup he's got with Philly. So, yeah, don't mind that at all. Any of these other guys, though, I'm just really not interested in. So it's either Peterson for me going all the way down, or I'm going up to Skubal, and then maybe Grayson Rodriguez if you wanted to go that route.
Yeah, no, excellent breakdown. I do think there's a couple guys down here that actually have some interest in, and again, I like spending up at obviously Skubal one spot, so I need a safe salary there because I like expensive bats on the slate. I'm going to throw a guy's name out, Luis Medina. I think he's got a pretty good matchup here against the Tigers. He's been decent, ranks pretty well in our metrics over here. Has the 8th best strikeout matchup on the slate overall. These Tigers, 25% K rate over the last 30 days here. So I think he's fine there at 6,600, a little bit pivot there off of David Peterson for $1,100 more. I mean, you're talking 30 to 40%, maybe even higher ownership on David Peterson there. He still has to face Harper, Schwarber, Castellanos, those guys there that can definitely hit for power no matter who they're playing on the other mound. And a guy like David Peterson, I wouldn't hate the jumping up to Medina. If you need the salary, obviously I think David Peterson's fine, but I'm just trying to get a little bit different here on this smaller slate when everyone's kind of going Skubal at Peterson. I think you could play Luis Medina there in that Oakland game and just pair those pitchers up and just hopefully it's a pitcher's duo there in Oakland. So I do like that. And then the other guy I'll bring up is Kyle Hendricks. He ranks pretty well in our metrics too. Not a sexy arm, but he's a game manager out there. He's 7,600. Going to be pretty low owned here. It's just a metrics ranking thing. If you look at our rankings, Mr. Wade Miley ranks very high in our stuff, and he went out there and blanked the Cardinals just earlier this afternoon. So these metrics have been crushing, especially this time of the year when they got a full sample size, couple months of data there. And guy like that is where I like to get a little bit different because I already am eating the Skubal chalk. So that's the pitching breakdown. Again, pretty concentrated ownership around Skubal and David Peterson. You play pretty much anyone else in this range on this slate. You're different. Ranger Suarez is probably the 3rd or 4th highest owned pitcher here. I have some interest in him, but I think my low owned guy here is Luis Medina in that same game. Just pair those pitchers up in that Oakland game and just go from there. I think definitely is a viable strategy here tonight. Let's go game by game. First game on the slate. We have a good one here. It's the Braves heading into Washington to face Jake Irvin. Irvin, under a 20% K rate on the year, barrel rate over 10. Max Fried on the mound for the Braves. Nationals are a pretty easy stay away spot for me, but these Braves, man, 1 through 9 are firmly in play for me. I even like Orlando Arcia, 3,900 down there. I like Eddie Rosario. Prefer the lefties here. Ozzie Albies, Matt Olson, Michael Harris, Rosario would be my preference against their Mr. Irvin. And then all the righties, I mean, it's the best hitting offense in the major league. So you can play them all. I love them all. Braves, my favorite stack of the night here. Do you agree?
Yeah, obviously. I mean, the Braves, they're just too fun to watch. I mean, that lineup is obviously the best in MLB. I mean, literally every night when I do my stack rankings, I'm like, keep it as myself. Do I just keep writing the Braves in here as number one? Like every damn night, they're pretty much in it. But yeah, I mean, Irvin, low K rate, even worse to lefties. So definitely like some lefties here tonight. Albies, Olsen, those guys are all interesting here tonight. I mean, the guy is basically, let's see, what was his? I think he only had 16% K rate here to lefties. The last 30 days, he's at 17% to lefties, 22% to righties. Yeah, definitely like some Braves here tonight. Obviously, you can play 1 through 9, but to be different, I don't mind other guys like Rosario, Michael Harris. I'd look at the lefty side of the stacks here tonight. To add maybe one of these guys here at the bottom that, may not be highly owned. 1 through 5 or 1 through 4 is going to be, especially with Olsen and Albies and Acuna, I think you're going to see pretty high ownership on the top of this lineup. So I don't mind, getting down into the 6-7 hitter here and adding one of these guys to be a little bit different with your Brave stack. So yeah, obviously they're the top stack for me. I got no interest in any Washington bats. I'm not going to attack Fried. Nobody there that is even jumping out to me. So, but yeah, definitely interested in the Braves. I mean, how can you not be? They're just too damn good. Last 15 days here too, you look, I mean, you got Acuna sitting at the top of the OPS charts in all of MLB at 1.318. And then you got his teammate right behind him, Olsen, sitting at 1.257. So you literally got two of the hottest hitters on the Braves. I love that matchup for Olsen. It's too easy for me to say that Olsen's going to hit a home run tonight, but Olsen's going to hit a home run tonight. So definitely like them Braves bats.
Yeah, we're in lockstep. So definitely agree there. No Nats for me. I'm not going to chase the Nats. They went nuclear yesterday on that early slate and absolutely went crazy. I mean, the DraftKings shipper in the early, or like basically the main slate yesterday that started at 11 a.m. You needed those Nats. I'll tell you what, when they were hitting bombs like that, but I think they come back down to earth here against these Braves. So off those Nats. Next game, we have Toronto Yankees, Garrett Cole on the mound, Jose Barrios, two pitchers I think are very much viable here. No bats in this one for me. Going to cross it off. Hope it's a pitcher's duel. You can't play everyone on a 7-game slate. This one is one I am not playing anyone.
Yeah, I definitely not going to have any stacks, anything along those lines. I don't think Cole and Barrios are going to be chalky enough or have enough ownership to even really take a shot to make it worth it to have any one-off. So, yeah, I'm really not interested in any of the one-offs there. Now, if Cole was like going to be the top pitcher or Barrios and we thought we were going to garner 20-30% ownership, then maybe I would look at maybe plucking a one-off or two just for some leverage. But there really just isn't. It's just not there. I don't think this is the game to really attack or fool with. So, yeah, I'm with you. Let's just move on.
Yeah, let's move on indeed. Next game on the slate, we have David Peterson, Ranger Suarez, two of the chalkiest pitchers on the slate. I think you can make a case to play some bats, obviously, against it. I would prefer some of these Phillies bats, some of these Phillies power against David Peterson. He's going to be higher owned. Schwarber, lefty, has great numbers even on the season. Alec Boehm, I love Alec Boehm there, 4,300, great leverage play, hits lefties very well. Bryce Harper has good numbers at home, lefty. Christian Pash, 2,300, 284 expected ISO on the year against lefties in his 19 plate appearances. I don't hate these Phillies against David Peterson, one of the highest owned pitchers on the slate. Phillies, I'm gonna tag the Phillies as one of my sneaky stacks of the night here against David Peterson. David Peterson, I think, can definitely get blown up here with some of these Phillies power. Pretty good implied run total there. On the Mets side, prefer Alonso. Obviously, you can always play Alonso, but really don't have any interest, to be honest, on the Mets. I think these Phillies are firmly in play as a low-owned contrarian stack on the slate to make yourself different and get to the top of the leaderboards on a smaller slate here where there's a lot of groupthink going on with NFL happening tonight. Do you agree?
Yeah, that matchup there with Peterson and some of these Phillies, right away, I love me some Nick Castellanos against some lefties. I mean, the guy's got a 401 WOBA against lefties. So, definitely consider him if you're looking for a one-off today. That's where the leverage is, especially over there on DK. As you mentioned, he's going to be very, very popular over there on DK. And on FanDuel, quite frankly, I think he's going to be pretty popular because people are going to want to play the Braves, and they're going to have to click Peterson to be able to do so. So, unless you get to the bottom, play the bottom part of that Atlanta lineup, which, I mean, if you're rostering Acuna, you pretty much are going to have Peterson. So in my opinion, yeah, if you wanted to go and look at Castellanos or Baum, as you mentioned, maybe even Turner, if you wanted to go that route, definitely is interesting. I would prefer Castellanos as my guy, but yeah, that's pretty much where I'd go. But yeah, the leverage is definitely there. As I mentioned in that Toronto New York game, it really wouldn't be worth it to pluck a one-off guy just because of no leverage, but you get some really nice leverage if you roster Castellanos. He goes deep, especially on DK. You're going to you're just going to move right up. So definitely like me some Castellanos in that game.
Yeah, I will just say the top 6 hitters for Philly over the last month against left-handed pitching: 303 ISO, 318 ISO, 375, 304, 265, 256. ISO usually leads the home runs, and that's what we play MLB DFS for home runs. So even if they get some strikeouts, if those Phillies at no ownership hit a couple home runs, one swing of the bat, that's 14 points on your roster against a chalk pitcher. You can definitely move up the leaderboards very quick. That's what we're trying to do. It's not about how often you win. It's about how much you win when you do win. So I think the Phillies are firmly in play for me personally tonight here. I think it's a good low leverage spot. Next game on the slate, it's one of my favorite offenses of the night. It's the Orioles heading into the Guardians to face Hunter Gaddis, who I don't think is any good at all. 13.5% strikeout rate on the season. These Orioles have some good bats. Gunnar Henderson, Santander, Adley. I love all these lefties against Mr. Gaddis here. I think all the lefties are firmly in play. Only 2 righties are in the lineup: Austin Hayes, Jordan Westberg down at the bottom there. I love the lefties for sure for Baltimore here. I think they're all in play. Ryan O'Hearn has a very, very nice price point at 3,800 hitting cleanup. Love him. No Guardians for me personally against Grayson Rodriguez. I do like Grayson Rodriguez as a low-owned pitcher on this slate. Do you see something I'm missing in this one?
No, you right on point there with what I was thinking there. Hunter Gaddis, his strikeout rates against lefties is absolutely horrendous. 7.8% on the season. You got 5% in the last 30 days. You got 6% K rate against righties, 19% on the year. Yeah, Gunnar Henderson definitely standing out. And Ryan O'Hearn been hitting the ball pretty well recently. So definitely like the lefties there. I actually would say I like the top 6 bats in this Oriole lineup here tonight. I got them as my number 2 stack behind the Braves. I definitely think they're going to be putting up some runs tonight. The guy's just too much of a fly ball pitcher, doesn't miss bats. Somebody's going to get one. I'd expect it to be O'Hearn, probably be my first choice just because he's been hitting pretty well. I do like O'Hearn. I like Gunnar. But yeah, 1 through 6 here, the Orioles is definitely in play for me here tonight. Now on the other side, yeah, I don't have any interest in the Indians at this point. I'm not even going to go there. I've been saying it all year. Why the hell would you play a team in DFS that doesn't hit home runs? That's just asinine to me. They probably won maybe a handful of slates all year that they've been involved in. I wouldn't even consider playing any Indians, Guardians, whatever the hell you want to call them. But yeah, I'm not interested there. As you mentioned, Rodriguez, decent pitching play today. They just don't have that many Ks in that lineup. But yeah, I think I definitely think the Orioles are standing out for me tonight, like that 1 through 6.
Yeah, no, excellent. We're in lockstep there. Next game, we have the Wrigley game. Wind kind of blowing in about 10 miles an hour from right field. I'm seeing temperatures in the low 70s. Oviedo on the mound. Kyle Hendricks. We know Kyle Hendricks. We've seen this story. Kind of a game manager, goes out there and just kind of gets through it. One bat I will bring out for the Pirates, Jack Sawinski smashes righties. You can always play a guy like Jack Sawinski who pretty much right now it's a strikeout or a home run. But again, you're looking for that 14-point swing of the bat there. He gets one over the wall there in Wrigley. You can definitely do that. He's just 3,600 bat and cleanup as well, or projected to bat cleanup tonight at 3,600. I think that's fair. The Cubs, on the other hand, Cubs have been smashing the baseball. I think Cubs are interesting here. I don't see a lot of ownership going to these Cubs at all against Oviedo. And you can definitely get to Oviedo, especially looking at the last 30-day numbers, 19% strikeout rate. I prefer these lefties. He doesn't get hit too hard. He's more of a ground ball pitcher. So I like the Cubs more as a mini stack personally than a 5-man stack, but they still do have a 4.8 implied run total. Wrigley's been producing runs. And Oviedo is not lights out by any means. He's no ace. So Mike Tauchman stands out to me. Ian Happ, Cody Bellinger, Miles Mastrobuoni down at the bottom of the order. If you want a little value play, 2,300. So give me some of these lefties in these Cubs as a mini stack. Don't want a 5-man stack, a guy a team that's not the greatest hitting weather with the wind blowing in there and against a ground ball pitcher. But I think as a mini stack, those guys are cheap. That little Talkman, Miles Mastrobuoni down there, very cheap little mini stack. Add in a Happ or Bellinger, and you got a nice little 3-man stack there, I think, personally. Where are you going in this game?
Yeah, I was looking at this one. I think this one's interesting. You just look at the last 4 games these two teams have played. Literally, the Cubs have 41 runs in the last 4 times they've played. And, they played 2 times so far this year, but this series here, but the last series was at the end of August. So it's not like it was that long ago. And, they've been smashing it. Even when they lost, they put up 7 runs. So the Cubs are definitely interesting to me. Oviedo, as you mentioned, is a little bit heavy ground ball pitcher. I do like the lefties, though, as you mentioned. He's got just pretty lower strikeout rate it's at 15% the last 30 days. He's at 23.4% against righties. So definitely like some Talkman. Bellinger, I think, is in play. Ian Happ. I think these guys are all interesting. But, yeah, the Cubs been just putting up all kinds of runs. I think you're going to get them lower owned than you have the last few days here. So I think that's definitely interesting. I still have the Braves and Orioles a little bit higher than the Cubs. But the Cubs for me were interesting just because they've been hitting really well. As you mentioned, Wrigley been yielding all kinds of runs. It's just the Oviedo things that's bothered me a little bit with that ground ball lean. But, definitely like the Cubs side. I'm not really interested in attacking Kyle Hendricks. He's just not a guy that generally gets his butt kicked. So I'm not really a fan of that Pittsburgh lineup up and down. But that Cubs lineup is, up and down 1 through 9 is up there in the top of the MLB ranks, at least top 10 if you wanted to, off the top of my head. But, I don't mind the Cubs at all. They've been putting up runs, and I think you're going to get them low owned. So definitely like the Cubbies a little bit here today.
Jake, I see your question in the chat there. I would say Hayes personally for the O's as the last man stack. I just don't like to play Hicks too much, but you can always play Hicks. That's another lefty. There, I think that makes some sense. And then Bill B, I don't think you need a player, a long reliever, to be honest, on this slate. There's enough cheap pitchers down at the bottom. I named enough pitchers, right? Grayson Rodriguez, Scuba, Max Fried. I have some interest in Suarez, Medina, David Peterson. There's a lot of guys in here that you can get away with. So I don't think you need to mess with the Yarbrough there, long reliever for LA, especially at 6,800. I think you could definitely do better than that on this slate personally. So I would not do that. I did want to answer your question there. Appreciate you posting that question. 2 games left on the slate. Go ahead and hit that like button if you haven't already. It helps us out a ton here. All of our content is free right here on this YouTube channel or the Media Network. I'm going to post the link one more time in the chat if you guys are playing NFL Showdown. Click that link, go over and check out Hoop Tambo and Title's breakdown on the Showdown game tonight. Gives you all the takes, how to approach that game, and hopefully ship $1 million tonight on this Thursday. 2 games left. First one here, we have Detroit heading into Oakland. I had a little bit of interest in Medina here. I think some of these power righties are definitely in play for the Tigers. He's definitely worse versus righties here, and that's Medina. He's been hit hard over the last month or so, a little bit lower strikeout rate to the righties. So that puts Spencer Torkelson, my favorite bat, obviously, surprise. Jake Rogers is in the lineup there as a punt catcher down at the bottom projected. Think that, but I'm seeing Detroit as pretty chalky on the slate on DraftKings. I'm seeing them as the 3rd highest owned stack right now behind Baltimore and Atlanta. So it's a chalky bad offense team in Detroit. I'm going to be underweight on the Tigers. Just a one-off for me in Spencer Torkelson. I think Kerry Carpenter is fine. You can always play those 2 guys there. My 2 favorite bats, obviously 4,400, both of those guys. And then on the athletic side, no interest in the athletics. Scuba is a lock for me. So I'm under in this game on bats personally.
Yeah. I didn't really. When you said the Tigers are going to be the 3rd highest owned on DK, that kind of surprised me a little bit. To be honest, I just don't like playing bats in Oakland, period. Especially the Tigers. No thanks. But yeah, Torkelson's been hitting the ball really well. I caught a lot of shit in the last year or 2 when I was saying how good he was going to be. Because, I used to watch that guy down there in Toledo, and you could just hear the sound off his bat, man. That guy just smashes the shit out of a baseball. I was like, man, when this guy figures it out, and figures out how to beat MLB pitching, this guy's going to be good. It's been proved. The guy's great. He had 4 home runs beginning of June. He's got 29. The dude's freaking ripping the baseball all over the place. Torkelson's definitely a guy that at this point, I think you could play at any point in time. I definitely do like the matchup there. I'm not going anywhere. If you want to play Torkelson, Kerry Carpenter, or Rogers as a one-off, I don't blame you at all. Especially Rogers, dude's got 20 homers. He's really cheap as a catcher. So that's definitely something you could look at. I'm just not going there with my Tigers tonight. I just don't like it. If you wanted to mini stack it, that's okay. I'm not going there. I just don't think the Tigers are going to be able to put up enough runs and be able to flip that lineup over enough, even though that Oakland bullpen sucks. But Medina, as you mentioned, he's not that bad. I'm just not a fan there. I just don't like it.
Yeah, I don't like it either, especially with the ownership. I mean, the reason they're getting ownership is they don't have a bat over 4,400 in the entire lineup, and much of those bats are low 3K, so it makes a lot of things work, right? With the Screwball builds, the Braves builds, it makes a lot of work there. So I'm going to fade the chalky Tigers tonight and take my chances there. That's also why I like Medina a little bit in GPPs as a leverage play there. It's a double leverage situation. Double leverage off of David Peterson, the chalk SP2, the punt pitcher, and then the chalk secondary stack for these cheap Tigers. So I definitely think he's firmly in play there. Last game of the night, I have interest in these Dodgers late night hammer here. Again, latest game starts about an hour or so after that Oakland game. These Giants, right around a 4 implied run total, heading into face more of a bullpen game, right? Yarbrough is going to be the long reliever. Sheehan's going to start there. So kind of takes me firmly off these Giants. I just don't like messing with the Giants. I don't like bullpen games in general, especially with the pinch hit concerns on the Giants. But these Dodgers, you got to love these Dodgers here against Kyle Harrison. He's got good strikeout rate, but he can get hit hard. And the Dodgers have a lot of lefty mashers in that, right? Mookie Betts, Will Smith, JD Martinez, Max Muncy's been ripping the cover off the baseball. Chris Taylor will likely be in that lineup tonight against a lefty. So I do like these Dodgers. I have them a little bit behind the Braves for sure and the Orioles, but I'm seeing the Dodgers right around the same ownership as the other low-owned team that we talked about there, the Phillies, and then that Cubs mini stack. Nobody's going to go to these Dodgers, and you get the Dodgers, one of the best offenses in baseball, low-owned. I think they're always firmly in play for me. They do have a 5.2 implied run total here. Do you agree?
I think you're going to get the Dodgers extremely low owned here tonight if you wanted to go that route. I think you'll get them pretty low. Now, Harrison, I'm just not sure about that guy yet. Like, he just doesn't have enough stats or enough, innings to be able to really determine what kind of pitcher this guy is. I just think you're going to see everybody staying off the Dodgers. But lefty, as you mentioned, Mookie Betts smashes lefty. So does JD Martinez. So, I mean, I think both of those guys are definitely interesting. You all know Mookie's my favorite play. I love playing Mookie at any point in time. Mookie's just he always comes through, man. He's Mookie. That's what happens. But Kyle Harrison, like I mentioned, I'm just not sure about him yet, but definitely like these bats here for the Dodgers. You look, too, at the last 15 days, JD Martinez is 7th in all of MLB and OPS. He's been hitting the ball really well. And then Muncy's 11th in all OPS. As you mentioned, he's been hitting the ball pretty good too. So definitely like some JD Martinez. He'd be my actual favorite play on the Dodgers, even over Mookie. I think JD's the better play here today, but I definitely like me at the top of this lineup. And then you mentioned Chris Taylor. I like Chris Taylor against lefties. I prefer him against lefties. So I think that's a decent spot for him. But yeah, at the bottom of that Dodger lineup, you got to be a little bit worried about some pinch hit, but they're not pitch hitting Mookie or JD or Smith or anybody at the top of that lineup. So definitely like me some Dodgers tonight. I think you're just going to get them a lot lower owned. They have the second highest implied team total on the slate at 5.3. The Atlanta's at 5.8, and you got Baltimore who's at 4.5, and everybody's going to be playing Baltimore. And literally the Dodgers are 0.8 of a point, better. So, almost a whole run better. So just a little something to think about. If you wanted to pivot off the Braves, I think the Dodgers is the place to go. If that's what you want to do. If the Braves put up a stinker tonight, I think the Dodgers, in my opinion, have the highest upside after, but they're expensive, right? Dodgers are all expensive. So you're going to have to probably pay down at pitching as you would the Braves. But I think the Dodgers, for me, is the pivot off the Braves tonight.
Yeah, I agree. Those top 7 hitters all bright green in ISO and WOBA on the season against lefties. So Taylor, Muncy, Rosario, JD Martinez, Will Smith, Freeman, and Betts is where I would look for those Dodgers. I do like them quite a bit overall. That's all 7 games. We talked pitching. We talked game by game. I'll kick it over to you, Gyiraszin, your low-owned pitcher call of the day, and then we'll get into home run calls after.
Yeah, I mean, the low-owned pitcher, as I mentioned, I'm all over Skubal, but I guess Grayson Rodriguez, probably on FanDuel, would be my low-owned pitcher. I think Skubal's going to be in the 40s, maybe 50% in single-entry contest here tonight. As I mentioned, that $100 single entry on FanDuel's got 34 people in it. I wouldn't doubt if more than a half play Skubal. So it is what it is. But, yeah, for me, Grayson Rodriguez, I don't mind the Peterson play on FanDuel if you want to go there. I think Peterson and Skubal are going to be the 2 highest-owned pitchers. Low-owned, actually, I was thinking you could go Garrett Cole if you really wanted to. He's really expensive. I think you'll get him really low-owned. But, yeah, for me, Rodriguez, Skubal, and Peterson are probably the only 3 guys I'm considering tonight.
All right, perfect. Well, we just got some news tonight from Mr. Schefter. Brandon Ayuk is not going to play tonight, which I hoped he would have played because I was going to be a little bit higher on him, but he is not expected to play tonight. So that adds another wrench into that. I saw our guy Tweezy in the chat saying, hey, I don't know where that NFL Showdown breakdown was. It's the link. It's on the Mayo Media Network. We signed a partnership with Mayo Media Network for our NFL content over there. So the Monday night, Thursday night, and Sunday main slate breakdowns are on the Mayo Media Network. Posted a link right to the video there in the chat. So head over to that, copy and paste into your browser, click the link, and that will give you the breakdown there that those guys went through. So we appreciate that. My low-owned pitcher call, it's risky here. It's a GPP play. It's going to be Luis Medina in that same game. Pair him up with Skubal. Little devil leverage there off of the chalkier Detroit bats. And then off to David Peterson. Punt ownership too. So I don't hate that play one bit. I'll kick it over to you, Gyiraszin. Home run call before we get out of here.
I'm going to go with JD Martinez to hit a bomb here tonight. I like JD. I think, like I mentioned, my favorite Dodger play here tonight. Like me some JD Martinez. I think he goes yard. So I'm going to roster Mr. JD tonight.
Yeah, I was a little worried you were going to take my play. I talked about these Phillies, and you mentioned this guy a lot too. I had him pegged. I didn't talk about him too much because I had him pegged for a home run call. It's Nick Castellanos against the chalk David Peterson there. Lefty masher. I think he puts one deep over the wall. I like the Phillies' power a little bit off of David Peterson there. So I'm going Nick Castellanos down there in the 6th spot to hit a bomb off of David Peterson. Again, we appreciate y'all tuning in. We do these shows on 3 p.m. on Thursdays with football. It gives you guys a little extra time to build your lineups, watch the NFL content, build your NFL Showdown lineups. Like I said, link is in the chat for the Mayo Media Network where our team, Hoop, Title, and Tambo broke down that game. Again, we appreciate everyone tuning in on this Thursday baseball breakdown. Hopefully everyone gets their job done tonight, sees you at the top of the leaderboards with those SHIPIT Nation logos. Good luck. Hopefully everyone has a good NFL slate as well with that single game. Hopefully it's hopefully it's not defenses again, Gyiraszin, which defenses have dusted me all season long in these showdowns so far. But again, good luck in your contest for Gyiraszin. I am Nades. We'll catch you guys next time. Let's ship it.